Right, do I have a motion to adjourn executive session?
Motion?
Second.
All right, Board of Trustees work session, call to order at 6:30. First thing is the pothole repairs. We have the list from code, and I spoke to Mike, and they can also fill in the cracks. Then we'll be talking about that.
Yeah, and it's really big time starting to do it. I thought it was gonna do it at the bottom of Chestnut, right across from the drains that we put in. The surface had been crazed by the heavy equipment. It turned into cracks, which now pieces are starting to slough off. So we may wanna take another look around and just look for areas that are not doing that.
You gave me another list though, Frank. Was that for the cracks or was that more potholes?
It was just for whatever pothole.
Okay, just potholes.
I noticed that just walking along with the dog, if you come, as you come into this parking lot, it's all crazed, but there's no rushing water that's gonna rip it apart. But that's, you know, when the water freezes and we have ice breaking it apart, that's a different story. But now, this time of the year, with the water rushing downhill, and that's what we had, that's what caused the problem on Washington, that we had to repave that whole stretch.
I think we should bid it into, we should do potholes for one and then the cracks for another and see. All right, so. And Joe, when did you want to do that? In May, you wanted to put it in the paper?
Put it in the paper for May, and we'll have to,
Do it in June?
if you're a June meeting, yeah.
Okay. Tennis courts, do you remember we had some of the repairs that had to be done? We wanted to wait till the spring, it was $400. I just want to make sure that we should have them finish that.
Yeah, I was on the court this weekend, and I'm just curious, these are just really minimal repairs, because there's not much really happening there. It's
Did you
right
see
under
it?
the nets, but it's not.
The one that runs parallel to the net is pretty long, but it's
Yeah.
not wide.
Thanks.
It's-
Yeah, right, so they're
it's
just
a
gonna
crack.
fill that?
And then, yeah, the problem with that is that if they can do it just as a patch, without having to go and blend it all in, redo the whole area.
Is that what they said, $100 for that?
Yeah, they gave Cindy the price, but we, whenever we talked about it, we said, oh, why are we gonna do it now? It's winter, let's do it in the spring. So
Alright,
now it's
so-
spring, so yes, I'll have her do it. Okay.
How much?
It was 400.
Let's make sure they keep it at that.
They said that they would do it in the spring and honor the price, so.
You sure it's 400?
I'm pretty sure it was 400, wasn't it, Joe?
I'd have to look it up.
I just remembered it being something like 800, 600, 800, something like that. I'm not sure myself.
I'll email you the exact price, okay? But I'm pretty sure that it was 400. Okay, then the recommendations that we had from the insurance company, great job, Chris.
Right, so.
I don't know if you sent that to everyone or just me, but.
I sent it to you and I
Okay.
sent it to Joe.
Okay, so you wanna just give Jeff an update then?
Yeah, so, we had that conversation about from Tokyo Marine regarding inspecting the playground equipment and getting new equipment, and all that. The guy I spoke to was Kenneth Haverly. He was very nice, very much just here to help us, is the way he plays, and all he needs us to do.
For an extra $600.
All he needs us to do is, and I
So
sent it in an
it's more
email, is basically explain that, for the new commercial grade park, obviously our budget can't handle that. So we can say that, we're maintaining our current equipment, it is it's in the plans down the road in that way. And as long as we continue to push towards that idea, he's satisfied. Because we're thinking about it, we're maintaining the current equipment, and someday down the road we may, but he said budget is gonna stop that, that's a problem for everybody, but it's not gonna stop us from being insured. We do need to maintain the equipment, that was the second part. So I have a guide that that was found, a state government guide for playground inspections. We can do it in-house, we keep a monthly log of it, we check it, there's a whole checklist, you go through the checklist, you date it, and we keep that. That'll be the second piece. And then the third piece was the lens program. And I actually was gonna talk to Frank about that, but I don't know where we are with the lens for drivers, and if we're using that.
Well, we went back and forth about different options,
Okay.
and he feels what he's using is working fine.
Okay, so we'll just have to tell, is that an alternate program to lens, is that what that is?
Yeah.
Yeah, I can go through that with you, but we basically have access to driving records.
Okay, so then as long as I can tell him if it's not lens, lens is expensive, that's why we don't use it? Okay.
This is a free service directly through New York State that we get free as a municipality.
Great, so I'll just let him, all we have to do is tell him that that's what we're using.
Uh-huh.
The lens is just a recommendation, and as long as we can, and then we can just fill it out and email it to him.
Okay, and you'll take care of that?
Yep,
Okay.
yep.
And like I told you, Frank, if there's anything you want additional, I'm sure we can figure out to get it, but right now it doesn't seem like we're fine, we don't need
Yeah,
to do
I think
that,
so.
so.
There's also something about signage. Wasn't it safety or where did I see? that?
Not for
No.
this.
Maybe it was
There's
in the
only
parks.
Yeah, there was only the three things. It was the playground equipment not being commercial grade, maintaining it, and then the acceptable, the driving records. No.
Hours that parks are open, I definitely saw that somewhere. I don't know where I read it, on the paper.
Well, we have, that's,
And we, since we've been talking about it with the dock and that whole area, and I remember the Bullseyes made a point of how the hours of the parks had changed, it used to be different. We should probably delve into that and then have signs
Well,
to back that up.
we can
It's
do-
it's a kind of a related issue, it's not necessary for this right now. But one thing that does come to mind is, we never really acted on, you did a draft of a code for parks,
Mhm.
and you probably want to put that back on the table and incorporate something about this stuff, so that we have something that says this is our procedure, or this is at least a policy to
no, we
maintain.
did
No, we
that, we
finished
passed
that.
that, we passed that.
Did we
one.
pass the parks law?
Yeah.
I remember voting on it, did we?
I'll get you copies.
No, I had it, but I don't remember we, okay.
Yeah.
No, okay.
After I took out the
No, wait a minute.
torpedoes.
No,
Mhm.
we never did physically pass it. We reviewed it and we never physically voted on
Oh,
Really?
it. Yeah,
We
I
don't?
remember now, I backtracked it because it was a question that was raised a week ago. I have a copy of it, but we never physically sat down and said, okay, fine, public hearing and approve it.
Was there, is a resolution or local law?
It's a local law.
It was a local law, it was a code.
Parks.
Parks, we adopted parks.
I thought we did too, because I know we had the
Yeah,
public
we
hearing
sent to
on
the
it.
state.
We had the public hearing, right, it was about the guns and the
Yeah.
torpedoes,
Yeah,
right?
Torpedoes.
We
That's right.
Second Amendment, right, or something like that.
And I'm pretty sure it was sent to the state.
We'll have to verify that.
But it does not appear on the website, either in the E-code or in the recently passed.
Okay,
I checked the minutes, we don't have it as being passed.
okay.
If I- if I
I'll look
could
at the
just-
status just to make sure, and then we could add that and do it.
If I could just
It's only 3
editorialize, we need to get something it's systematized so that when we have the draft of the law, the code is created or edited in some way, and so if I do it and I send it to everybody for comments and then it goes to you as a final, in its final form, when we pass it, we don't have a procedure, which we should have now, where automatically, or somebody has ownership of it, make sure that it gets put onto the website. Because I spoke to Tina a couple of times about things that I saw were missing, like the maintenance of property law.
Mhm.
It's just missing, and that was a fairly contentious law.
Through the E-code, you mean?
I don't think it's in E-code, and
Yeah, so what ECO does, they have the basic service where once a year, anything you passed in the prior year, they add on.
if they get it,
Well, no, they check once a year at the Secretary of State. And, but they don't, like, if we adopt something tonight, it doesn't go to E-code, it may not go on until 2020, so
well, now we have Tina, and we have
Yeah.
a way to get it onto the web.
we should have a recently adopted.
So, right,
Page.
there's a place for it on the website.
Mhm.
But somehow, as I'm going through all the ones that I did, I see some fell through the cracks. If I depend on memory, I'm in trouble.
Right.
So I thought, did we pass it? Did we vote on this one? Did we vote on that one? And I came in, remember, Joe, we looked, and
Yeah.
we couldn't really, there was no central repository where we could say, well, here's the folder, let's see, this one was passed on this date. And we don't have a way of doing that. So somehow these things have fallen through the cracks.
It should be in a minutes book, there should be like a minutes book and it should be in there.
Well, that's what you did, you looked through minutes and
I went through
you
minutes.
found
We
one or
did
two and
pass.
then some.
We had the discussion on it, it went back to be the torpedo taken out of it, and then we came back to the table. And physically could be discussed again.
Right.
It was, you made the adjustments to it. And that was that.
Anyway, just getting back to the equipment, should we at least do a resolution or something so that we have some,
Resolution.
in other words, we don't have to incorporate it into the code in the parks section, but something where we just put it on the table here, where we're voting to then go and do all these things we recommended.
All I'm recommending is that we maintain it. So if we need a resolution to maintain stuff,
Well, what are you gonna say then?
Well, we need a procedure.
exactly what I just told you, I'm gonna say to
And
him.
he'll say, okay, your
Yeah.
word is your bond,
That's it.
shake hands on it?
I don't think we shake hands, but
I just think we should.
Let's put it this way, guys, it's already been answered. May I read?
I read it.
he was very amenable.
Okay. A priority recommendation, 120-day response. Completed? No. In process? Yes. If not completed, status. Policy is being written by our attorney. We expect to be completed by May of 2019. I signed it. That's the 140 playground policy.
So,
Oh, I forgot.
we know.
Oh, yeah, here it is.
Playground policy. So basically,
Okay.
what you're saying now is that's what we're talking about here. So we just, okay, fine. It's covered.
It's gonna come from you.
We told them we're gonna take care of it.
But that's a perfect illustration of what I'm saying. We don't have a, if it's standard operating procedure that whenever we get to that point, one person does it, or we have a record that it then goes to whatever it is, things get lost and then it's shuffled. Well, we had a hard time, I had a hard time, I wrote the stuff, and I never get the final copy. So Tina asked for a PDF of the final thing, but I don't have that, because I have my Word document, I send it over, you format it, and make your final copy, and then we'll get a paper copy of it. And the PDF is what goes on to the website and whatever. I never get it.
But the laws you usually send to me and I send them out, so, right?
Yeah, or we send them out together,
Right.
sometimes you do,
So
sometimes.
how about where we file the local laws? Do we have a list in there of what gets filed? Or no, they're just in the folder?
They're in the folder.
Yeah.
You file one at a time,
I mean,
and
you
you
have
get an
to,
answer
we're
back
like
one
the
at a
ones
time.
who
You
really
don't-
started updating everything.
keep
Up
a
until
list
this
of-
time, it really wasn't happening, so.
I know, but that's how I got it.
Right. Yeah, well, I'm gonna put it on the list for you to do after the recap. And when you do it, take a list.
For the,
Insurance.
yep.
Okay.
Write it down, Joe. Assign to Chris to,
Keep it in those minutes.
okay.
We have,
Done. It'll
we
be
have a
done.
file, we have one file drawer in there, which is basically all of our laws by year, by law. So in other words, if you're looking for a law number one, whatever it was, when it was passed or changed or whatever, all of it is in one pocket. Law 2, law 3, law 4, law 5. So basically, if you go in and look at the law, you'll find out what revisions we made to it, when it was passed, and paperwork that was done for it. And also, we put the state return back in there that they've gotten it. So, we'll have to look at that.
Okay. But that's not solving what you're thinking.
Well, it's a step in the right direction.
Okay. All right. Village cleanup. Okay, so, Rich said he has no trouble running that, but he is gonna not be able to do it until after Mother's Day. So, if you guys want, we could pick the Saturday after that weekend, whatever that is. I don't know what it is. Is that?
It'll be May, Mother's Day, I think it's the 14th?
Is
No, 14th is a Tuesday. That'd have to be, Monday, the 12th.
Which one?
Because you were talking about having a meeting on like May 14th, which is Tuesday.
Right. So it would be the 18th. It would be May 18th you could do it.
Mother's Day is the 12th of May.
Thank you. Is that agreeable for everybody?
It was
Yeah, May
actually pretty
18th.
cold last spring, cold.
Right. And also, that's, you know what, because, and then I'll
And
email.
that's a Saturday?
It's a Saturday. And it's gonna just be from like 9 to 1, Rich said.
Just down at the beach
Yeah.
area?
Mhm.
Might be
When is
running-
it? Sorry.
But,
May 18th.
and then it gives us a chance to get out the word out to people.
Yep.
And we can also, I'll email John to get in touch with the landscape company. They could maybe be here cleaning up, doing the spring cleanup by that time too.
They've been in here,
Yeah.
they're in today.
Joe,
Excellent.
you'll order a dumpster for that?
Yep.
Okay. Okay, Gary sent Cindy and I the pictures of the signs that he was talking about at the last meeting to replace. I'm gonna have her get prices and I'll either email it to everybody or I'll just do it in May. There were 2 signs, remember he was talking about last meeting that were not right, so,
Oh, yeah, down on Washington.
yeah.
Any update on the signs for meeting notices? Have they been,
Joe, any update on that?
the meeting dates and how we sometimes change our dates, but our signs only say the
There's
specific
a
thing?
time, the 7 o'clock trustees meeting is posted everywhere, that's.
Right, the time and day can never be changed on the current sign.
Right. They're fixed, so
Oh, good.
do we have to use something that's basically interchangeable,
Right.
which is difficult. So we would have to go out and get a sign made up with a slot with a date for the,
Or maybe like 2 little eye hooks, little hooks that you just put a little thing over it.
you don't wanna put the thing over it because they disappear. We used to
Right,
attach them
true,
to
true.
other parking signs and you find them disappear.
Okay, so we can still look into that.
I'll have to go take a look at
We
that.
also had talked about the intersection on Van Brunt and Shore Road. And I don't know if a sign, a recommendation for a sign, or maybe, there was something where people were saying that it was dangerous and then it was.
They were talking about having, there was no stop sign there, but there never was a stop
There
sign.
never was, that was me, there
Yeah.
never was one.
Right, the conversation was about a missing sign, because there was one sign that was leading down, that's how we got started on it, but, the comments, it was that it's dangerous because people come flying around the corner and there's no sign. But the problem is that where the sign would be is not Poquott
Property,
property.
it's down Brookhaven.
So, do we want to have any conversation with Brookhaven about it, and follow up on that?
Where do you want to
I
put
mean-
the sign? You mean on the
Well, I think, as I
south
understood the
side of,
conversation.
south side of Shore?
Right.
At the,
Right.
just- yeah, it's up.
Right.
That's where our no sign is.
What they're saying is people coming out of Poquott, going south on Van Brunt, you have to stop, but then you have to really look because people come flying around Shore Road and they don't have a stop sign.
It's there.
Okay, there you go, Sam.
I would suggest what we do there is just put a stop line up further so that the people will stop at
Can
the
get
stop
further up,
line.
right,
Because basically if you stop at the stop sign, you can't
Can't
see
see.
to your right.
yeah.
Well,
It's similar to almost anywhere where there's that situation. They just put the stop line up. You're supposed to stop at the stop sign and then go up to the stop line, or the stop line, whichever is in, and then stop at the stop line
Really?
and then look again.
I never knew that.
New York State traffic code, you're supposed to stop at the stop
There you
line.
go. Okay. So anyway, do we want to act on that request, or is that just?
Well, maybe we discuss repainting the stop lines.
Okay.
Maybe we put that back on the table. If that's a concern. Maybe the lines will have an impact. And then it would have to be specific places where we would want them, because I'm not gonna do the whole town's lines, where there's.
Actually, that point did come up in the larger, when Susan Laskowski brought up the center lines, and people, the conversation went towards, well, we don't need those center lines, but in certain cases, the stop line in white was
Maybe helpful.
worthwhile. And we just kind of shelved that, but that might be something to revisit.
Yep.
Okay. I'll get that to you.
In my street's prime. Stop sign on my street is 7 or 8 feet back off the corner, and there's still foliage in between the stop sign and the roadway, so you have to really
I'm
be careful.
sure
with
that-
comparison.
I'm sure that there are places, a number of places where we have the stop sign that doesn't really help the intersection, it's not quite right there. And we could do the line, I have no problem with the white lines for the stop. I have a problem with the line going down the middle of the road because it's just not gonna do it.
They just get driven over.
Yeah. Okay, the local law 183, besides, I had just some spelling things, but I didn't see any issues with it. Anyone else?
Nope.
No. Okay. So we already closed that public hearing, so I guess next meeting, should I put that on for
You know what we should do is, when do we close the public hearing?
April?
Okay, so if everybody's okay with the form, what we should do is, send it to the county.
Okay.
And what I would do is I would have a public meeting, a public hearing on it. Again, renew the public hearing once at the May meeting.
Okay.
And then we'll close the public hearing and then vote on it.
Okay.
That's the proper
Now,
procedure.
the voting on, will that automatically rescind the older version?
Yes.
Okay, so the issue that has been there all along is that we took parts and we put them into other sections, like, the one that comes to mind is signs and advertising. Because that was,
Yeah, you asked me that, I'll check that again. I
right, so
looked at a building.
they have to
and,
kind of go hand in hand, so.
Okay. So if
And
it's-
runoff.
If it's necessary, the runoff is taken care of. If we need a public hearing on signs, then we can have it in May also.
Yeah, at the same time, that should.
Two public hearings.
Yeah.
So we'll definitely have one on 183, public hearing, and then, because you're supposed to have it, there's a rule that we have to comply with. So we have to enough time has gone by that we have to renew the public hearing.
Okay. And then the ethics policy, we had the public hearing last month. Do we have to do the same thing with that, or no?
You could vote on that, or if you're happy with it, I think.
Well, the only issue I had was that on page 13, we had about, the village making a good faith effort to attend the meetings. I'm not sure, I thought that maybe we would say, are we allowed to say 50% of the meetings,
Sure. Yes, you
70%,
can.
something like that?
Yeah.
Okay. So I think,
And then also, we want to say that, I don't know if I covered it, that you can't talk about things that, you can't discuss things that were discussed in executive session.
I don't remember that being
Yeah, I'll put it in.
Okay.
How many meetings you want to attend?
What do you guys think?
I think 50% is kind of low even.
I'm just throwing it out there. I think it's kind of low too. I mean, things happen. People are away, or they get sick, or they have something with their kids. So those things.
Well, and
like
again,
that.
this is not a hard and fast law, right? If it's 50, if those situations are what keep you from meetings, I think doesn't the board determine whether or not this is a?
Well, there's a law that says that when a trustee misses the second meeting in a row, the board's allowed to call the police to go get the trustee.
Yes.
That's actually the law.
Where's that Frank?
What do you mean, where's that?
Mike McKenna he told me that very thing.
That's great.
But, so,
But why would you want to go get him there? That would be very,
I
or
wouldn't.
her. That would be very hostile.
It's a law. It is real, it's a real.
but I think 50% is pretty good. 60%.
Yeah, 60 is better than,
60%.
it's more, because it's more than half. If you miss less than half, if you make less than half the meetings, then you're just not doing the job.
I think you'd be right there with Congress.
Yeah.
No one would say this.
But we'll have the camera just on one person like they do on C-SPAN.
Right.
You don't know how many people are there.
Okay, so that was the only comment
Well,
I had. So.
And then,
But we also need to have a board of ethics. Part of that is that we're supposed to have 5 people.
it
one of
defaults to
whom
the
has to
county.
be
If
for
you
the-
don't have it, it defaults to the county.
Well,
Which is what,
Okay.
which
Which
is
I
what we
think
have
is
now,
better.
It
right?
doesn't say that in it. Do we have to say that?
No.
It says, if I remember correctly, it said that Board of Ethics, one of which has to be an officer
Yeah, give a breakdown.
of the,
Yeah, I could add that in about the county. That's what the law is anyway, but I could add that in.
so that means somebody from here would have to, I guess, we don't have officers. we have village officials up here, so they use the word
We have
officer.
officials.
So I guess that means we're off the hook. But we have to appoint somebody who, I don't know who that,
I think we discussed this and we decided that it was better to have a county, didn't we?
Yeah,
Yeah.
because we just thought it would be
Just
impartial.
remove it from us.
but I
Right.
just reread it before the meeting. It
Okay.
said that at least one member has to be an official, village official, a village officer.
Okay, so can we do a public hearing on this and I'll make those changes?
Yeah.
And then we could vote on it in a minute. Please.
But if the county makes a decision, we don't need to be, one of us doesn't need to be there then?
No.
Okay. Okay, the new poll up Walnut, I sent it to Bill Tiggins, which is why I didn't hear from him, so I'll email him again to see if he has anything new has happened, otherwise I'll put it on there for May. So now, we do need, I think that we need some kind of policy for the dock. I don't think it has to be a local law, right? It can just be a
It
policy.
could just be a policy. But the only thing, you could just have a policy, but then you can't write tickets on it. That's the only thing, if somebody violates it. The only way you can write a ticket, if it's something they wanna write a ticket for, it has to be in your code. Has to be a law.
Yeah. So we either have to do a law or something for the dock.
I would like to have, open it up to the public.
Okay.
Have a public hearing, if you want to call it that.
Or public input?
I don't know, Frank, if you're gonna wanna weigh in on this, but if we're gonna have rules, but it's not in the law, it kind of puts our guys into an awkward situation.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm thinking that if we're gonna say, well, here's how we want this to be used, and we have rules, that we probably should go in the direction of putting it as a code, so that you guys have something to back it up.
Absolutely.
Mm-hmm.
So, maybe we can have some kind of a preliminary discussion with everybody, I don't know if we wanna actually.
Well, we could
have
just
it
do,
all.
public input, right?
Yes.
And, yeah, and any comments of, I didn't want this, but those are not, yeah.
You don't need the actual law to have a public hearing. You could just have a public hearing to accept public comment.
Okay, so that's what we'll do.
You have to put it in paper and do the whole bit for that.
Yes. But that's okay. It's just not a big deal.
Right, we're already doing the other one, so, okay. Okay, number 10,
May,
Joe, you have anything to report?
So we have this is pretty much the status quo. We have two lawsuits. I don't know if you saw in the news, the first one is with FT, and we made a motion to dismiss. We're waiting for the judge to decide that motion, and I don't know if you saw in the newspaper, but there's a couple other villages that FT is following now that are dealing with that.
Mhm.
And it actually mentioned us fairly favorably that we did a motion to dismiss, compared to a couple other places that settled up with them right away. So FT, we're waiting for the judge to make a decision on our motion to dismiss. The other case is Morton Manor Road. So there's two things going on with that. We still have the case of Ashley Homes versus the village, and they won't give up, even though, we're on the verge of owning the property. We made a motion to dismiss, the village made a motion to dismiss in that case because they don't own the property anymore.
Okay.
We're waiting for the judge's decision, and we're in the process of moving towards the closing for with the county on buying the property.
Okay.
It's up to them. We sent them the money a couple months ago. They're just in the process of getting it approved.
Okay, and then the only other thing I have, and if you guys have anything after that, is that we had a change order for the dock. Mike went down there, met with them. They gave us, they already had done steel, you already know about this, right? And I don't know if you know, Chris. So they did steel banding underneath all the things, but that wasn't in the plan. So now they want us to pay for it, and Mike basically said, no, we're not gonna pay for that, okay? And then they had some other caps, so what it all came down to is, they handed a change order, and he went through it with them, and the only thing he felt that we should approve is that, even though we have the existing float, one of the two tubs underneath it was rotted, and they had to replace that, and that was $540. So, I agree with him, so I think that we should approve to pay for that.
Sounds good.
We didn't pay for the dock, we didn't have to pay for the floating dock, so,
Right.
yeah,
now is it fine?
it was $540. And that's all I have. You guys have anything?
One quick thing, just talking about codes, I came across chapter 88, resolution regarding adopting chapter 88, international codes adoption. Did we also bring that up, and it's all,
We adopted that one, right?
it is in there? Okay.
That was
I-
the building. That's right, wasn't it? Yeah.
Yeah, we had a whole.
I wasn't a part of that, so I didn't have it in my file, and that's why I just did.
Yeah, the international building code,
Yeah.
8 volumes.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, do I have a motion to adjourn the working session?
Motion.
Second.
7 o'clock, so can we do the budget?
There's a notice for 7. Yeah, then we should.
Okay. Public hearing for the Village of Poquott 2019, 2020, oh my God. Budget, Ron?
I haven't seen it in the packet, but I presume everybody has it in the packet.
It's in there, it's in the back.
And the big point is
Is it
that
this one? Jim?
Spreadsheet.
Okay.
the big number is the increase in taxes. The increase is from 1541 to 1841 per 100 valuation. And that results in a budget increase to 533,000 total. There will be, there was a decision made by the board to, or by the mayor and discussion with myself and with Joe and with our bookkeeper, that instead of taking the full amount of construction costs, construction principal repayment and interest each year, we would take $13,000 for the interest for the first year and pay that out of fund balance. Since we haven't touched fund balance this year, and it looks like this year will be pretty much of a break even with budget. So we're not really touching, looks like we're not going to be touching fund balance this year for the year ending May. And those are the high points. The budget, other than that, has been tightened up a bit, so we don't have as much fluff as we might have had in prior years. And that was done in order to try to keep things as straightened up as possible. Now, the anticipation is that this budget will more or less stay in place for the 5 years of repaying the debt. And then whoever is presiding at that time and the residents at that time will have to make a decision, and the decision will be to readjust to a lower level. What that will be, no one can tell right now. And that's kind of the macro view of it. If you have more questions?
Yes. I mean, Chris and I were part of the planning, so I think we probably understand it better. I don't know if you have any questions before I go to the public.
I recall